All right, man, peace. So, brothers, it's becoming more and more apparent to me who LeBron James actually is and who he reminds me of. And that is the character of Benny Blanco from the Bronx, from the spectacular film from the early 90s, Carlito's Way. For those of you who've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Benny Blanco from the Bronx was an up-and-coming gangster who idolized a former gangster who had been recently released from prison by the name of Carlito Brigante, played by Al Pacino. And his over-infatuation with Carlito Brigante's character and his exploits ultimately led to him being overcome by jealousy over the fact that, at least by his perceptions, Carlito Brigante did not receive him in the way that he wanted Carlito Brigante to receive him. He was a fan of Carlito Brigante, and that's why I always warn you brothers against fanboyism. It's very unhealthy. And that's why I say there's only one letter difference between being a fanboy and a fag boy. Because the sentiment is pretty much the same. And after continued perceived rejection, eventually the fanboy will spaz out and start to turn against the person who was at the center of their attraction. And we see it in different walks of life. We saw it in the hip-hop world with Jay-Z and Nas. Jay-Z was a fan of Nas. And after Nas continued to rebuff him, he tried to eradicate Nas from the hip-hop scene. And all he did was awaken a sleeping dragon. We see it in the boxing world with Adrian Broner and Floyd Mayweather. Adrian Broner is upset with Floyd. In my view, he clearly has a quasi-homosexual infatuation with Floyd Mayweather. And now what he's done is he's successfully, or at least he seems to have successfully, turned Floyd Mayweather's protege, Gervonta Tank Davis, against him. But that's another video for another day. In the basketball world, we see LeBron James, who has pined for attention from Michael Jordan for years. He seems to be very jealous over the connection that Jordan seems to have with Kobe Bryant. And now he's decided that he's going to spend the entire regular season talking about how he's greater than Michael Jordan and how Michael Jordan really wasn't as great as the media is making him out to be. And he's been doing it pretty much since he won his most recent championship with Cleveland in 2016. Well, recently, he was stopped in the locker room and asked a question about Justin Timberlake, and he responded by saying that Justin Timberlake is a GOAT. One of the media members asked him, what about Michael Jordan? And LeBron decided to respond that there's been much debate in here over who's actually better than Jordan. So we see that LeBron is once again in the tear Jordan down mode to raise himself up, which is normally the main tactic that's utilized by someone who's envious, which is, I'm going to bring this person down because I know that I'm not going to be able to ascend to that person's level, at least when you're talking about two people in the same field. Okay? That's why I liken him unto Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Benny Blanco wanted to be Carlito Brigante. His infatuation was so fierce. It was so intense. Just like an Adrian Broner with Floyd Mayweather or Jay-Z with Nas. Despite all the acclaim and the fame that Jay-Z had been able to accrue for himself throughout the 90s, all he thought about was how come Nas would never accept his invitation to appear on one of his albums. That's all he was concerned with. It's very much like the Matt Damon film, The Talented Mr. Ripley, in which Matt Damon plays a character who becomes so infatuated with Jude Law that he kills him and lives his life as that person. Very dangerous, fanboyism is. But anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Let's get to the final conclusion. LeBron enjoys the LeBron MJ debate more than we do.
There's no doubt about that. Because I believe that LeBron James is at the point now where he's been so rejected by Michael Jordan, who at some level of his programming he has as his foster dad, that now he's going to respond back by trying to tear down Michael Jordan's legacy, or at least attempt to in his mind.
Do hear me out, right? Yesterday, after the game, our David McMenamin tweeted this, quote, LeBron James left the locker room wearing a hoodie from Justin Timberlake's current concert tour. When LeBron called Timberlake, quote, a GOAT, someone asked him, quote, what about Michael? LeBron's response, There's a lot of talk about ranking who's better than Michael around here these days. Oh, man. This is my theory. This is my dark horse theory. He wore that jacket on purpose to drop that line. He doesn't believe that Justin Timberlake is a GOAT. Seriously. This is just him trying to set up this conversation because he likes this debate more than we do. What is Justin?
Of course. And what all four of them have in common is that they're all assets. LeBron gonna fuck around and and one of these reporters gonna catch Michael on a bad day, and Michael gonna show him what that trash talk really be like. LeBron gonna fuck around and make Michael Jordan have a flashback back to the early 90s when he would really trash talk fools. And he's gonna learn what Michael Jordan can do just from shit talking, just gonna totally break LeBron down. You know? A lot of these guys who are LeBron James fanboys, they get on me for talking about LeBron. I don't talk about LeBron. I just tell you the truth, pertaining to some proper perspective on him. He's an all-time great player. But when he's evaluated critically, no, he's not Michael Jordan. And I think that Michael Jordan has conducted himself with a high degree of class, especially with the way in which he has been attacked in the sports media over the last 3 to 4 years. I think that he's handled himself with a great deal of class because he easily could have decided to draw out the saber on people like Isaiah Thomas and LeBron James and many of the other people who have been addressing him. But I believe that he knows that he can't win that battle, because all it's going to be is, oh, you're Michael Jordan and you're responding to us. That's normal troll maneuverism. Just be little bitches and throw rocks at the throne, the proverbial throne. And then once you get a response, oh, but why are you even responding? You're Michael Jordan. It's just nonsense. And that's how people conduct themselves. And that, once again, is indicative of the fact that LeBron James views Michael Jordan as an idol. You're not supposed to idolize anyone. You respect their talents, you acknowledge their hard work, and you move along. That's it. LeBron clearly has a very unhealthy infatuation with Jordan. He's very frustrated at the fact that Jordan has not reciprocated.
Justin Timberlake the GOAT at?
Please.
What is he the GOAT?
Yeah, please. What is he to go at?
I don't know. Stealing other people.
I like JT, but I mean, come on, man. We know who to go. And
well, I think that Justin Timberlake, since they're digressing into this comparison, Justin Timberlake has been successful at being one of the great wiggle white boy pop stars of the last 20 plus years. I mean, you can make the case he's arguably the greatest wiggle white boy pop star of all time. He's right there with Eminem and Elvis. I mean, they're all up there in that same realm.
He is. We can't even compare him to MJ in the music.
He's the GOAT at pushing people under the bus.
I just love what I love about LeBron is he's basically telling us what to think down the last quarter of his career.
Well, that's very easy to do in this social media era. He knows that he can bombard you. He can use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram to try to create his own legacy. I know I only have 3 titles, but if I can swing it to where my point totals and rebound totals and assist totals dwarf Michael Jordan, I can make my acolytes believe that I'm actually better than him, because it's going to help me down the line in the long run when I try to own the Cleveland Cavaliers, when I try to run for governor of Ohio, if my handlers allow me to eventually run for president after I'm properly prepped and microchipped. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows what they have in store for this asset known as LeBron James? But there's no doubt in my mind that the reason why he's running this propaganda campaign this season in regards to himself and Jordan is that he has an ulterior motive.
Doing a certain event.
certain large-scale television event.
LeBron is basically narrating for us. He's telling us what we're supposed to think. He's like, hey, I'm aging like fine wine.
Absolutely, that's the power of suggestion.
I would vote for me for MVP here. I'm this, I'm that. And yeah, look, I think if you look at it, you're starting to look at a resume that absolutely compares, if not surpasses, MJ.
Well, we can look through a retinue of players whose resume is comparable to Michael Jordan. If we're just going to go by resume, Kobe Bryant has scored more points. He's played more games. I believe he most likely has more rebounds and assists than Michael Jordan. I know for a fact that Karl Malone has more points and more rebounds than Michael Jordan. If we're going to go the stat route, if we're just going to go purely by the numbers, the greatest player of all time is Wilt Chamberlain. because he's the one who holds the most individual records. He was the most physically outstanding specimen in NBA history. That's why I cast LeBron in that ilk of physical specimens. That would be Wilt Chamberlain, that would be Shaq, and that would be LeBron. Michael Jordan's on a whole other level. That's greatest athlete as well as most skilled artisan in the NBA, in NBA history. When you're talking about basketball IQ, now you're talking about people like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Oscar Robertson. But that's how you have to split up. You have to split up in the class. What makes Jordan the greatest is that he was the most successful in the modern era. He was able to change the paradigm for winning in the NBA. I've stated this ad infinitum on this channel.
And everything other than championships. And so I believe it's something that he's going to continue to push. Do I think he likes it more than everybody else? Yes, I do.
Tracy, are you on the side that this is an actual real conversation that should be had?
It's not a conversation.
It's not? Okay.
It's not a conversation.
He's still chasing, huh?
Yeah.
Until when?
JT is chasing.
No, JT ain't chasing.
JT's far behind.
JT's not chasing. He's
right.
That's like saying I'm chasing Michael Jordan right now.
MJ to me is the GOAT, man. And LeBron, if LeBron can win a championship this year, then I will start to have that conversation. Right now, I can't have it.
LeBron has to get to 6 championships to put him in comparison to Michael Jordan. Why is that? Because he's already lost 5 and due to his 2011 finals performance. That's why. He has to nullify all that other shit before you start talking about him being in comparison to Michael Jordan. People might not like that. It is what it is. Oh, well.
What if he wins? What if he doesn't win it this year, but he leaves and goes, let's say, to
No,
Philadelphia?
no.
If he goes somewhere else and wins the championship somewhere else,
No.
it's not good enough.
No.
See, what if he wins one with the Knicks?
The Knicks?
Yeah.
He's the GOAT.
Yo, word life, if he can come to the Knicks and win a championship with the Knicks, I might have to put him up there with Jordan. I mean, damn. He definitely would go right up there with Kareem and Bill Russell. Right now, another championship would put him above Larry Bird for me. I have Larry Bird above LeBron by a sliver. But as I've stated in the past, if you were to take LeBron James's name, Larry Bird's name, and Magic Johnson's name, throw it in a bag, shake it up, and pull out any one of those names, any one of them would do because of what they bring to the table.
He's the GOAT.
He's just doing his thing in this version of the NBA. Like, it's really difficult to win right now. Like, Michael Jordan.
There's no more difficult to win in this era than it's been in any other era. This guy, Izzy Gutierrez, number 1, he's a homosexual. Number 2, he covered LeBron in Miami. So he clearly has partiality to LeBron. It's okay. LeBron's an all-time great player. But don't tell me how it's harder to win today than it was in any other era, especially when you didn't have free agency in the NBA until 1988 or 89. And beyond that, the teams were totally based on the proficiency of your front office. It's actually easier to win today if you're a star because you can move so much easier. The mobility allows you to seek out the destination that you feel will be the best for you. So no, you cannot use that excuse, sir.
Michael Jordan, say what you will about the team, say what you will about man defense versus no zone. Like, it was, I'm not saying it was easier for him. I mean, he absolutely dominated. But LeBron James doing the same thing.
No, sir. He's not doing the same thing. If LeBron James was doing the same thing, he'd have the same results.
I don't think championship teams plop up.
Look at Tracy McGrady. I'm rewinding back a little bit. Pay attention to Tracy McGrady's gesture after Izzy Gutierrez said that silly shit.
Flop up.
For him, I mean, he absolutely dominated. But LeBron James doing the same thing.
I don't think championship teams plop.
Oh, Tracy McGrady, if there was a word bubble above his head, it would have said, "Nigga, you crazy."
Plop up overnight. I think it's really hard to build a championship culture.
He's got that exasperated look that everyone in our age group gets when they try to push the LeBron James is as good as Jordan or better than Jordan narrative. Right now, if we're just going to go by accomplishments, LeBron is still trying to catch Kobe. I mean, like, if we really want to go there, once again, I would take LeBron over Kobe. We're talking about accomplishments. LeBron hasn't caught Kobe yet. And they got him with Jordan. Like, come on, just knock it off.
And so for me, I respect what he's done, LeBron, because it's not easy to go somewhere else and build it back up and then win one.
Well, it's easy to go somewhere else and build it back up if it's already built for you before you get there. Amin Al-Hassan. And as we all know, LeBron is not going anywhere unless he's gotten promises from the front office that the team is going to be comprised of a certain set of players. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's good business. But as I've always said, the same thing that LeBron should be lauded and praised for, which is introducing the dynamic to NBA players that it's not about loyalty to team, it's about loyalty to self and to your family. That's the same thing that is going to act as a strike against him when you're comparing his legacy against other former greats' legacies who stayed with one team or were able to win repeated championships as the leaders of those teams. When you look at Larry Bird came to a Boston Celtics team that I believe won 29 games the year before he got there. They made no changes to the lineup other than him, and they won 60 games. They didn't win the championship, but they won it the next year. Same thing with Magic Johnson. He went to a team that even though they had Kareem, they had not won anything. His first year, they won a championship. Michael Jordan, of course, he went to a team that had no history. He had to build them up from the ground up. And there were certain dimensions to how that team got built. I'll save that for another video. But when Jordan got there, the team was filled with cokeheads. They had to flush out the old guys, bring in a couple of new guys. And by his fifth year, they went to the conference finals. The issue with Jordan was, would he ever be able to get over the hump? Because no one had ever seen a player like him before that had a style like him. They'd never seen that style win a championship. They'd never seen a scoring dominant shooting guard win a championship. That had never happened. Jerry West couldn't do it. Oscar Robertson couldn't do it. Even Dr. J, who was a great wing, they had to bring in Moses Malone. Once again, that's why Jordan is number one on my list, because he changed the winning paradigm. First all-time great wing player to lead his team to multiple championships without a dominant big. Okay? He was the guy to do that. When I say multiple, I mean 3 or more. Isaiah Thomas won 2. That's why he's on my list right underneath the top 10. He's in that same class with Kobe and Moses Malone and Dr. J, in my view, Isaiah Thomas, because of his impact.
And so if he does it again somewhere, he'll be the only superstar.
It's not easy. When you're LeBron James, you get what you want.
Thank you, Tracy McGrady. Thank you, sir. See, I could tell cats that's in my age group because they cut right through the bullshit, man. We don't got time for that dumb shit. The hell you trying to sell me, man?
What you mean it's not easy?
But it's more than just the pieces, teammate. How many times have we seen superstars come together and then end up in a championship? It's hard.
Well, we've seen that a lot with LeBron. We've seen that a lot with his ass, bro. Let's be for real. He's one bad decision by Draymond Green and one miracle shot from Ray Allen from only having one championship. Like, this guy is trying to talk about Michael Jordan. That's why I say if Michael Jordan come down from his mountaintop and start talking shit about LeBron, LeBron might, end up curling up in a fetal position and crying himself to sleep. Talking about how come daddy don't love me.
It's hard because it's not just
they're older.
It's not just that. It's the culture, man. It's building the hierarchy, everybody knowing what their roles are, buying into those roles. And there's a lot that goes into it that I don't think we give him enough credit, because if he go, like I said,
oh man, please, LeBron James gets nothing but credit. Cut the bullshit out.
If he goes somewhere else and wins another one, he'll be the only superstar in history to have gone to 3 different franchises and won the championship as the man, not as at the end of my career, I'm Bill Walton.
But of course, we don't give him enough credit. More people, a lot of.
I would expect him to be the first superstar to go to 3 different teams and lead his team to championships because of player mobility. We have to understand that there was no free agency during the time period of Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West. Who knows what Jerry West might have done if he could have left the Lakers and went somewhere else? What if Jerry West said, I'm going to leave the Lakers and go sign with the Boston Celtics? Or I'm going to go team up with Oscar Robertson on the Cincinnati Royals. We're going to have the best backcourt in history and try to challenge Boston. Right? Wilt Chamberlain said, I'm going to leave Philadelphia and go sign with the Cincinnati Royals. We're going to form a super team. When they formed that super team with Wilt Chamberlain on the LA Lakers in the late 60s, they had to go through hell just to get that done.
A lot of people like MJ's mentality, his clutch, ability and everything else. And if you just sort of lay it down by the numbers and by the wins and LeBron is arguably the greatest right now. You can't. If
you lay it down by the numbers, LeBron James is the Peyton Manning of the NBA. He's the Peyton Manning of the NBA. He's probably the greatest regular season player in NBA history, arguably. Arguably. I would still take Jordan there. But the difference comes in the playoffs. But to be quite frank with you, if you're going to lay it down strictly by the numbers, Wilt Chamberlain's the greatest player in NBA history.
By the numbers, absolutely. I can't argue with that by the numbers.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's what I'm...
But anyway, this was a nice little conversation. We'll see what happens. And we'll see if in the future Jordan finally snaps and addresses LeBron James' bullshit and gives him some of the attention he seems to be lusting for. LeBron is certainly someone that loves to go back and forth through the media with different people. We see he's trying to do it with the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Nick Saban. He's tried it with Donald Trump. He's gone back and forth with Laura Ingraham. He's been trying to provoke Michael Jordan for a while now. So we'll see if Michael Jordan gives him what he thinks he wants. But anyway, peace.